Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have a couple of alien encounters to tell you all about today, folks. One involving a possible alien abduction, and the other, I'm not quite sure if the guy was abducted or not, but his account is very strange. We'll read his story first. Beautiful female extraterrestrial manifests and transports experiencer. Indeed, folks, apparently this alien entity, who is very beautiful, transported him away. Maybe that's an abduction, but it sounds like he's almost willingly going along with it. Either way, let's get into his story now. "Why have you come to visit me?" she replied. "Myself and others like me are friends, and we want you to come to a very important briefing." Moments after agreeing to go with her, an unparalleled series of events occurred. That's a brief blurb from the story, folks, and it's very bizarre. So let's read the full account now. Honolulu, Hawaii, spring 1968, 5 o'clock a.m. Robert D. Miles, who lived aboard a 47-foot Tamaran, was docked at Honolulu's Alaui Yacht Harbor. On that early morning, he had risen early, made some coffee, and was lying on his bunk, worrying about current events in his life. Suddenly, he experienced a dazzling array of shimmering light followed by an intense tingling of energy that filled the entire stateroom and engulfed him. His whole body began to vibrate as a beautiful woman materialized in the walkway right next to his bed. His first reaction was to believe that he was dreaming or hallucinating, but the woman spoke to him and took his hand. In a matter of moments, he came to understand that the woman was real and much more alive than him. The energy aura she emanated made his entire being vibrate at a level that could only be described as ecstasy. He asked, "Why have you come to visit me?" She replied, "Myself and others like me are friends, and we want you to come to a very important briefing." Moments after agreeing to go with her, an unparalleled series of events occurred. Ooh, very strange, folks. Now, it sounds like this alien says, "I want to bring you to a briefing." That sounds kind of boring, doesn't it, folks? But in his own, description, it sounds like this event was, as he said, unparalleled, and I would imagine quite amazing. So, let's wonder for a moment exactly why he was brought there. Maybe this man was used as some sort of specimen of the human species at the briefing to basically, maybe display us to some, alien intelligence for one reason or another. Maybe they were discussing what to do with humans, not to invade us, but maybe how to interact with us, and they needed a human there, a regular man who they could use, for a lack of a better term, as some sort of show horse or show dog, I guess. And that's why he was basically summoned to this briefing. Either way, let's finish up this article and then we can talk about it a little more. First, he was teleported to New York City. He then boarded a saucer-like spacecraft and was transported to an extraterrestrial location for the briefing. The extraterrestrials orchestrated the briefing to give him and about 50 other guests a glimpse of Earth's history. They also showed them a dramatic and vivid view of humankind's potential destiny. After the briefing, he was asked to undertake a mission. He agreed to publish a story about his experience and to place an ad in a major newspaper saying simply, "If you have the spirit of adventure and are willing to work, come sail with us." Upon returning to the sailboat, he realized that only 33 minutes had passed. However, from his personal perspective, it seemed like many unhurried hours had been spent with these incredible beings. To this day, he remains convinced that the series of events was real and not a dream or a delusion. The source of this information comes from Safe Space Project Albert S. Roselius. So once again, Albert S. Roselius has enlightened us on the question of the alien phenomena with this story. But this might be the first story I've ever covered from Safe Space Project. So, very interesting. Now, I'm going to ask a question here. It seems like these aliens asked this witness here to basically spread the story out and ask others to fly with them. Do you suppose that this is some sort of, uplift project, folks? I mean to say, are these alien beings trying to uplift humans by basically enlightening them with basically taking them out into space, or basically, maybe somehow altering them perhaps, or basically broadening their horizons, teaching them things, perhaps? I don't know. It sounds like that's what they were trying to do to me, at least, but that's just what I think. I want to know what you guys think, so leave some comments down below and tell me if you think that's what they were doing, or if any of this was even real to begin with. Either way, let's move on to the next article. While walking to work, abduction, experimentation, and hypnotic regression. Let's read the story in which this woman was abducted by these small, goblin-looking gray aliens, folks, and hear all about it. Several short, thin humanoids now appeared with tiny ears, huge black eyes, and 3 very long fingers, and they were not wearing any clothing and had white skin. Another brief blurb from the story, folks, and as you can tell from it, it sounds horrifying. This happened in Birmingham, UK, March 30th, 1988, 5:25 a.m. 2 women, mother and daughter, were walking to work at a local mill and had taken a shortcut down some nearby alleys when they suddenly heard a distant humming sound, unusual for the time of day. Suddenly a light shone down on them from above. They both stopped to see a light over them, getting larger and larger as they approached. They both became dizzy and disorientated. Their next recollection was arriving late for work and still very dizzy. So it sounds like these 2 women, the mother and daughter here, really had something bizarre happen to them. Now, at first it sounds like both mother and daughter didn't know exactly what happened to them. They only remember arriving late at their workplace. So I wonder, did they remember what happened later on, or was it only under maybe hypnotic regression that they remembered anything about what happened? Either way, let's get back to the article and hear more of it. Later, under hypnosis, one of the women remembered moving towards a light and then finding themselves in a white room surrounded by windows and laying naked on a table with a cloth over her legs. The other woman was at a table next to her. Several short, thin humanoids now appeared with tiny ears, huge black eyes, and 3 very long fingers, and they were not wearing any clothing and had white skin. At one point, the little humanoids inserted a long glass tube into the witness's navel. They also pull her hair. Later, they place a cup-shaped device on her head. She is then taken to a wall where a large screen appears. One of the short humanoids pushes some buttons and various geometric symbols appear on the screen. Later, scenes of war and destruction appear. That's something we've seen before, folks, where these aliens will show the witness, pictures or basically films about Earth being destroyed. At least that's what I'm basically getting here, folks. Is this maybe some sort of vision of the future these aliens were showing this woman here? And what was with the symbols? These geometric symbols the article basically said that she saw. Were these part of some sort of programming, perhaps? Maybe it's part of the hypnosis that these aliens use to basically blink people's memories, perhaps. I don't know. To me, it sounds like they were hypnotizing her so that when she actually saw the videos of the destruction and mayhem that they were showing her, that she'd on some level remember it, almost as if they were programming her. Maybe this entire abduction was basically to do that. Maybe they abducted her and did something to her, either mentally or biologically, so that she would basically be programmed like a computer with this information. Maybe. I'm not quite sure. Either way, let's finish off this article and then talk about it a little more along with the first story we read through. At this point, the witness notices other beings in the room. These are described as very tall and human-like, with long blonde hair, blue eyes, and wearing a silver suit with a blue badge on the left side of the chest area. The badge is a circle with a triangle next to it and 2 zigzag lines next to the triangle. Her next memory is of finding herself back in the alley along with her daughter, who looked dazed. Her daughter also recalled a similar scenario under hypnosis and also remembered seeing her mother standing next to a tall, beautiful blonde woman in a silver suit and blue badge. Source: Quest UFO Magazine. Now, very interesting, folks. It sounds like these short humanoid alien beings that were basically, looked very much like goblins. They sound like they were either the servants or maybe, the bio-robots of these tall, Nordic-looking aliens, who I basically think are the Pleiadians. But then again, maybe these tall, blonde aliens they saw were actually reptilians in disguise, because I've heard various UFO reports of people thinking they see the Pleiadians, but in reality, these are the reptilians who shapeshifted into these, other alien beings. Or maybe they're one and the same, which is a possibility, because I remember one close encounter story of this man being abducted by this alien beings, and that this alien being, who wasn't a reptilian, but this horrible-looking alien monster, either shapeshifted or basically, released the illusion that he was an alien being. In reality, he looked like a human like us. Like, literally, he could basically be any other ordinary man on this planet, folks. Like you or me. So, maybe these entities only, took the form of something that these humans would basically feel comfortable around. Or maybe, indeed, these alien beings do look like us, which I do indeed believe, folks. But we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics That Are Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow, folks.